Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a pretty seismic prediction about the future of software, a vision where the apps we literally use every single day might just be heading for extinction.
And this is the quote that kicked the whole thing off. When Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella says something like this, it sends shockwaves through the entire tech industry. It forces everyone to step back and question the very foundation of the software we've built our businesses on.
So let's really unpack Microsoft's prediction here. What's so wild about this is that their leadership isn't just talking about some vague, far-off future. Oh no, they are putting a firm and frankly a very aggressive date on when they expect this world without apps to become a reality. And here's one of the key people driving this, Charles Lamanna, a Microsoft corporate vice president. He's arguing that the software we use every single day, with all its forms and rigid workflows, is basically a dinosaur. He thinks it's fundamentally unchanged from the old mainframe days and is about to be totally replaced.
And there's the date they've put on it, 2030. Now let that sink in. That's not some science fiction future, that's just a handful of years away. They genuinely believe that by then, this whole revolution won't just be starting, it'll be mainstream. So the big question is, if apps are going away, what in the world is supposed to replace them?
Well, this brings us to the anatomy of the disruption itself. Microsoft's whole vision hangs on this new idea they call business agents. And to really get what that means, we need to see how they stack up against the apps we know and use right now.
Okay, so look at this. On the left, that's our world today, right? We're constantly clicking through forms, following these predetermined steps, all of it stored in nice, neat, structured tables. But on the right, that's the future. Instead of forms, you have interfaces that understand plain English. Instead of rigid workflows, you have AI agents that figure out the best path to get something done. And you have something called vector databases, which are built to understand the meaning and relationships in data, not just rows and columns. It's a whole different ballgame.
So here's the crucial point. Instead of you navigating a complicated CRM app to log a new sale, you just tell your business agent, hey, log this new deal with Acme Corp. And the agent just does it. It figures out all the steps and does the work for you. It completely flips the script on how we interact with computers.
But as you can probably imagine, not everybody is convinced this is going to be a smooth ride. A lot of experts are raising some pretty serious, real-world challenges to Microsoft's very ambitious vision. For example, check out this quote from Microsoft MVP Rocky Lotka. He points out a huge problem: determinism. So many business processes, like accounting or inventory, demand absolute 100% precision. Today's AIs, they're probabilistic. They're good at guessing, not at being exact. As he puts it, you can't have an AI that's just mostly right when it's loading a truck with gravel.
And then you've got veteran Microsoft watcher Mary Jo Foley, who adds another dose of skepticism. She makes the excellent point that getting massive legacy customers to switch over is a monumental task. She thinks a more likely scenario is that Microsoft just packages these agents as pricey add-ons to their existing products, instead of replacing them completely.
So all these concerns really boil down to a few fundamental questions. First, can we actually trust AI to be reliable enough for the really important stuff? Second, can businesses really afford to just scrap decades of investment? And maybe the most interesting question, if we let AI run all our processes, do we risk losing the human creativity that actually drives innovation in the first place?
So, if the path forward is so full of challenges, how on earth could this transformation actually happen? Well, the proponents say it requires a complete mental shift in how we even think about software.
This question from Richard Campbell just nails the new way of thinking. The idea is to stop seeing apps as these destinations that we have to go to. Instead, you start to see AI as this intelligent layer that just works across everything, all your data, all your communications, creating value whenever you need it. The app just kind of dissolves into the background.
And according to Lamanna, this isn't just a tech change, it's a complete restructuring of how companies actually work. An engineer could suddenly use a sales agent to prep for a client meeting. You could see traditional departments like sales and marketing just merge, because one person, empowered by agents, could do the work of 3 different specialists. The very definition of a team changes completely.
So how do companies actually pull this off? Well, Microsoft has noticed 3 key patterns in the ones who are succeeding. First, constraints. Believe it or not, budget pressure forces them to find real productivity gains instead of just playing around. Second, democratization. AI can't just be for the data scientists. You have to get it into everyone's hands. And finally, focus. Instead of 100 little pilot projects, they pick a few high-impact ones and prove the value at scale.
Which brings us to the final crucial question. Is this really an evolution, or is it an extinction event for apps? The answer might hinge on one critical piece of the puzzle. You see, for all these different agents to work together, the entire industry has to agree on a common language for them to speak.
And what's amazing is a massive convergence is already happening. New open standards, things like MCP, which helps AIs share context and memory, are being adopted at a blistering pace. Think of it like a universal language for AI agents, so they can all work together without a hitch.
And as Lamana himself points out, this level of agreement is incredibly rare. It's a huge signal that a really foundational technological shift is underway. A lot like what happened in the early days of the web with things like HTML and HTTP.
So this brings us right back to the core debate. Is this a violent revolution where apps get destroyed? Or is it more of a gradual evolution where the apps we use today slowly just morph into something new?
You know, maybe the best answer comes from this quote by Richard Campbell. He says, "The whole concept of an app, as this distinct program you have to open and close, is just becoming obsolete. The functionality is still there, but it's woven into this fabric of intelligent, on-demand services all around us."
Ultimately, what Microsoft is really doing here is issuing a direct challenge. They're arguing that this change is inevitable. The only choice left for businesses is whether they will be the ones to lead this disruption from the inside, or if they're going to wait and have it done to them by faster, more agile competitors. It's a provocative thought to end on, for sure.